Good morning, everyone. This is Kelsey with Voces Digital. We're going to be doing a little bit of a back to school kind of refresher course this morning. I'm going to wait a few minutes, let people get online, get settled with us today, but we're going to go over just some of the basics of deleting your classes, getting your new classes set up, just some kind of refresher, things like that. Please feel free to add your questions in the chat. Let us know if there's anything we can cover for you. And also, if you want to set up a personal walkthrough, you can do so from the link in the description, or give us a call, an email, whatever. All right, good morning again. Like I said, we're going to wait just a few more minutes, let a few more people join us, but we're going to get started pretty soon here. And again, if anything comes up, anything you want to see, just let me know and we can show that in here as well. Let us know in the chat. We'll have a couple of people standing by to answer questions in the chat as well. So you'll be able to get answers to anything that you might need for your back to school, first day, getting up and running kind of stuff. So we'll wait maybe one more minute to see who else comes on in, and then we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to start just in the Spanish novice title. These features are the same throughout every title, so if you're using French, if you're using Nuestra, all the steps are going to be the same. So don't worry too much about it being, in this particular title because you'll be able to do all these same things. So I'm going to start just by showing you guys how to delete a class. This is a really good step to take at the beginning of a school year, just kind of get rid of some of the old stuff, especially if you have limited student licenses. You're going to want to delete your classes, delete some students, clear out a little bit of space. So to start, you're going to go into your teachers panel and then into your class and student management, just like you would if you were setting up a new class. Now let's say I want to delete this particular class. I want to delete all the students in the class. I'm just going to click on the name of the class, which will drop down my class options here. I'll go ahead and click delete. Now you do have to enter your user ID here, and we get a lot of questions about this. You want to think of your user ID like your password. So your class ID is that ID that your students have that they all use as kind of that username. And then the user ID is that password, so it's that second field. So I'm going to go ahead and enter mine. So that's the thing that I put into the second box when I'm logging in. I'm going to go ahead and click yes, delete this class. And now that class is cleared out, so I no longer have those students counting toward my total student count, and I don't see that class anymore. Now, if I wanted to, I could also go in and in my first hour class, I could just add or view my students. And maybe I just wanted to delete this student. So I would click on that student and then I would just click delete. Again, it's going to ask you to put in your user ID, which is that password you enter in, which will now remove that student. So now I only have 7 students in that class rather than 8. So you can delete them student by student, or you can delete an entire class all at once. The easiest way is definitely to delete that whole class and just kind of start fresh. So again, to delete a class, you're going to click on the class name, click on delete, and then you're going to enter that user ID, which is the password, and then delete the class. So the next thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at actually adding classes. So now that I've deleted my classes, now that I've cleared out all that space for my classes, how do I add my new students? So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Teachers panel again, back on into Class and Student Management, and I'm going to add a new class. So maybe I'm going to name this class First Hour 1819 because it's for the new school year. Go ahead and hit create. So that creates my class. Now there are 3 ways that I can add students. The first way is going to be clicking on the name of the class, clicking add or view students, and clicking quick add. This is good for those small classes. You have 5 to 6 students. You can very easily put in their first name, last name, and you can create a user ID for them or let the system create one. The first name and last name fields require only 1 character each, so if you have any privacy concerns, if you don't want to put your student's full name in, you don't have to. You can just put one letter in each field. The user ID, again, just like your user ID is your password, that's going to be that unique ID to that student that they use to log into Voces. This is going to keep track of their assignments. It's going to keep track of their activity. So it's something that some schools will use a student number, or if the students already have a password, for example, for the internet, they may use that as the user ID. If you leave that blank, then the system's just going to create a user ID for them. So once I do that, I go first name, last name, user ID. I'm just going to put 234. I'm going to add that student. So now I have that student listed here, and if I click on that student's name and I go to edit, I can also change any of that information. So I could change their name, I could change their user ID. I can also move them into a different class. So if I decided this student was moved to my another hour, another class period, I can move them and hit save. So now that student is going to be in my 5th hour class. Now, once you, the second way to add students, we're going to just keep going in order here. The second way to add students is, again, you're going to go into the Teachers panel, into the Class and Student Management, and then click on the class name that you want to add students to. You're going to again click on add or view students, but this time we're going to add them with a CSV. A CSV is a comma separated value file, and you can create this if you're using Google Sheets, if you're using Excel. If you have a spreadsheet of your students' names, you would be able to create that CSV from that spreadsheet. Once you have that CSV file, you can go ahead in here and click CSV Add, and it's going to walk you through those steps. So the first thing that we need is that file. Again, it's just a spreadsheet that you save in a special format. If you're in like Excel or Sheets, you just click File, Save As, and choose comma separated. Some will say comma separated value, and I think Google Sheets says comma separated something else, but the first 2 words are comma separated. We do also have a template here that you can download. That template will help you kind of just get started, but as long as you have the first name, the last name, and the user ID column, then you'll be good to go. So once you have that CSV, and actually what I'm going to do, so I'm going to back out of this for just a moment here. I'm going to go into this class up here, my test class, and I'm going to export my list. So export the student list. We'll actually save that list as a CSV. So I'm really just moving students from one class into another, but you'd be able to do that if you were moving them from one title to another, or if they needed access to more than one. So now I'm going to go back into my CSV add. I'm going to go to step 2. This is where you'll select that file. So the file that I just downloaded should be in here somewhere. I should have saved it somewhere else, but it'll be under S. Student, nope. All right. Well, we're going to just download it one more time because we should be able to then put it, what is it called? Test students. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and choose the file, and we're going to go back to downloads, and we're going to go to the T's. They're not sorted alphabetically. This is not my computer, so just got to play around with it a little bit. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the T's, QRST, and don't mind the images we've got here, but we're going to choose Test Students 1. So now I've chosen that CSV file, and then I'm going to check the box because the first row of that file has the titles, the column names. And then let's say that I had my last name in column 1. I would change this to 1 and the first name to 2. However, mine are set up in order 1, 2, and 3, so I'm going to put that back. So once I've done that step, I go ahead and click step 3. It's going to show me what it's going to look like once I've created it. So we make sure that the first name and last name, those are in the right spot. We make sure the user ID looks good, and then we go ahead and click finalize. Now, it's not actually adding them to the title because these students are all already in my title because I copied them from that other class. So if you see this error, it means that they are already in this title. So if you're adding them from one class to the other, you would just go in and edit that student and move them like I showed earlier. So those are the two main ways to add students. Now you can also do a self-registration. So with self-registration, it's a little bit different than the teacher added versions, but you're going to actually go into the teachers panel, and you're going to go into your settings here, your account settings. In your account settings, you're going to see this section for student self-registration. You're going to go ahead and click on this button. It'll be disabled, so this is what it'll look like when you first go in. You're going to go ahead and click enabled, and then you'll want to copy this link here. This is the link that you'll send the students to allow them to register for your class, and we're going to copy that because we're going to go check that one out in just a minute too. So once I've enabled my student self-registration, then I go into the teachers panel. I go to my class and student management, and I'm going to just create that class. So we'll just go with my first hour 1819 class. That's the one we'll add to, but just know that you do have to create the classes even if you're doing the self-registration. So you as the teacher are going to create the class and send the students the link. So once the students have that link to self-register, they'll see this. They'll choose the title, so they'll need to know that from you. They'll need that information. They'll also need your class ID. So mine is Kelsey L. I'm going to check that class ID. They have it set up to self-register, so then the student would put their name in. We're just going to go with this so we know what to look for. And then they select that class. So this is why you have to set the class names up so that they know which class to join. So we're going to join first hour 1819, create user. So the students will then have their login info. They'll be able to write that information down or print it, and then they'll be able to go and log into Voces as well. Now as the teacher, if I go in, and I'm going to refresh the page because it usually does require a refresh. If I go into the teachers panel and into my class and student management, I go into that first hour 1819 class, add or view my students. I see that student that just self-registered, and if I go into the ID cards, I'll see that student on the ID cards as well, and I could still print this out and hand those out to each student. So you can really make sure that they've all registered, and you can make sure that they do have that information in a hard copy, so there's none of the, oh, I forgot my password, oh, I don't know my user ID. You as a teacher, you can always come in here and check that for them as well. So those are pretty much the basics of your creating classes, deleting classes. It's, pretty simple. There's those three ways to add students: the quick add, the CSV add, and the self-registration. So those are, there's got to be one of those that works for you. And if not, you can always give us a call, set up a walkthrough. We can go over it with you. We can also help you with importing or creating CSVs. So never hesitate to reach out if you're having any issues loading your classes into this system. So the next thing I wanted to kind of take a look at were some other things here in your teacher account settings. So to get to your settings, you go into the teachers panel and into the account settings. There's a few things here that you can do. So if you have any update to your email address, you can change that email address here. If you wanted to change your class ID or your user ID to something that maybe is a little easier to remember than the Voces default, you can also do that. So I could change my class ID, I could change that user ID that's going to end up being the password that allows you to delete classes, delete students. As we saw, this is also where you do the student self-registration. Now, we also have this option here for the Game Center. By default, the games are all available unless you've marked on an assignment page that they're not allowed to leave the page. If you have any issues with it, if you don't want them to be able to access the Game Center while you're teaching, you can always come in here and turn the Game Center off. You do have to log out and then back in, and so will the students in order for that to take effect. So it might be good if you're going to turn it off to do it either at the very start of a day or at the very end of the day. But then you can always come back in here and very easily turn it back on for the students. This is also where you would see any, beta testing we might have in the future, any, new features we might have. This is where you'd be able to sign up for those when they're available. So those are just, again, some important settings that you'll find there in your teachers panel in your settings. So another thing that's helpful when getting started are going to be your supporting documents and your Voces tutorials. Again, these can be found in the teachers panel. They're going to be underneath the 3 books, the resource library. So if I go into the resource library, the first thing that I'll see is the videos. So these are videos that, may be found in the title, maybe some additional videos that, if you just want to watch a video with your students on the first day, maybe a cultural, maybe a grammar introduction, maybe, some type of quick review, an authentic video. They're just kind of all in one place, a little bit easier to find. Now, under the additional resources, this is where you'll find some really helpful getting started type of documents. So you'll see the Voces user manual. This is a really, really great document that we just updated for all of our new features. So it's a PDF. It is 40 pages, so you may print it out, you may not want to. But it has a place to put your class ID and your user ID. Just kind of an overview and just some really good information. And I always like to call attention to page 7 because page 7 has all of the icons and all of the information about what those icons do, as well as which options are only available to the teacher. So sometimes teachers like to print just this page out, hand that out to students, or keep it taped up on their desk as they're learning the program. It can be really helpful just as a really quick reference. Now, obviously, over 40 pages, we go into a lot more depth with a lot of topics like classroom setup, the assignment tool. So you can really get a lot out of that user guide. We also have the vocab list. So this is the vocabulary list for the entire title. So this is where you'll find broken down by subject and by lesson. So it's something that if you want to hand that out at the beginning of school. You'll also find there the alignment to ACTFL, the World Readiness Standards. You'll find a pacing guide, which is only for Chapter 1, but you're able to apply this to the additional chapters because they all have the same types of elements. So you see, this is the Spanish Novice Chapter 1 Pacing Guide, and you'll see it has day 1 out of 15. It's got the standards listed, and then it also has the different elements that we're using and the activities that we're doing along with them. So you'll see this again just for Chapter 1, but in each chapter you'll have the can-do goals for the chapter. You'll have the videos or the, introduction to the country that you're studying in that chapter. You'll have the different lessons. And so you can really use this guide to help you with the other chapters that you're going to be going over as well. You'll also find the scope and sequence document, as well as a full outline, which is the entire table of contents with all the menus dropped down so you can see where things are. You'll also find an archive of PowerPoints and some additional readers. So these are good resources to explore and see if anything in there might be helpful to your planning or as you're teaching. And then this third section here are the Voces tutorials. So this is just a library of all of our video tutorials that we have. So creating a class, assigning pages, the grade book, the editor. There's a lot of really great videos in here. And we do have a tutorial for the students. So this video will kind of walk the students through what they see and give them a little bit of information, that they might need. So this could be a good video to play on day one to kind of let them see what to expect from Voces and how to use it. Saves you a little bit of time and saves you from having to learn the student side of it well enough to teach it. We've kind of put this together for you. So those are your additional resources that you have there. Some other things that might be helpful for day one are going to be the help options. So we've recently updated our help and support options. You may notice the little map is gone. We've now got the question mark. If you click on the question mark, you'll find a couple of things here. So first you'll find a really quick breakdown of those bottom controls, as well as some information about the activity pages. So you'll be able to see, again, that breakdown of what each type of page is. So the activities, the assessments, and exercise pages. So it kind of just tells you a little bit about what to find on each of those pages. Now up here across the top, you have all of your different support options. You have the report a bug or technical error. So this is the option that is best to use if you're having some type of issue with the browser, with pages loading. You can always call us, you can always email us, but this option here, the report a bug or technical issue, is going to take you into this window for the new support ticket. And what happens is when you when you submit an issue through the support ticket, that records browser information like the version of the browser you're using, if you're on Firefox, if you're on Chrome. So it records a lot of that technical information that is really helpful when we try to troubleshoot those issues that are a little bit more technical. The other things that you'll find, you'll be able to email us directly from inside your account. So if you click on email us, it'll open up and take you to the Contact Us page. So you'll be able to send an email directly to us here at Voces, and we'll be able to respond to that and help you out. You can also enable your live chat. So this is a brand new feature that we have. We just added this not that long ago. So if you click on Enable Live Chat, this option will show up down here. You'll click on that to pull up. You'll put in just your name and your email address. So then you can choose a little avatar if you'd like. So that's what we'll see when we chat with you. And then you go ahead and click Start, and then you'll be able to kind of type out a question. So I'm going to type, "This is a test chat," so that the rest of my team knows that it's me. But this is a really good way to talk to us and ask us quick questions if you are having an issue and your students are in your classroom. You maybe don't want to call us. This is a really quick and easy way to contact us. You can send us files. We can send you files, so we can go back and forth and help you out as you're getting yourself set up. So again, a really, really good way to talk to us and let us talk to you. You do have some options here. You can make it full screen. Also, when you're finished chatting with us, you can send that transcript to your email. So if I click on this, it'll just ask me for my email. I'll send that transcript. So if you okay, I knew she wasn't going to know it was me. So Erin thinks I'm a real chat, but But yes, so you can actually send that transcript to yourself. So if we send you directions or step-by-step instructions on how to complete a task, you'd be able to actually send those to yourself and reference them later. So then you would actually go in, and when you're ready to end the chat, you just click on the tools and you just click end the chat. So there you go. That's how to chat with us. It's pretty easy. Like I said, it's a really good way. I've had a couple teachers already this school year chat with me while they have their students in class, just to kind of ask some quick questions. So then you go ahead and disable the chat. It'll take that window away. You've also, this one isn't clickable, but you can reach us. This is our phone number right here, so it's easy to find. If you wanted to schedule a walkthrough, and keep in mind the walkthrough isn't just for new users, it's for anyone who needs a little bit of extra help with anything in the title. So if you're trying to create something in Editor, if you're trying to set up your classes and you maybe need a personal walkthrough, you have some additional questions, don't ever hesitate to schedule that walkthrough with us. We're more than happy to help you. And then the last help option is the Voces community. So the Voces community, there's two options. There's the teacher to teacher, and the teacher to teacher is going to be our kind of forum for talking and asking other teachers for advice, tips and tricks, anything like that. So you'll see there's some conversations around pacing for Nuestra, adding questions to a test, creating a new test, some questions about the Game Center. So this is a really good place to talk to other teachers. If you have questions or issues with the product, it's best to contact us directly, because while we do check the forum, we definitely don't check it, every day or every hour. So it's a good place to talk to other teachers, but for technical issues, you want to either submit it through that support ticket or give us a call. You can also do the teacher to students forum. So this is where you as a teacher can create a post that your students can reply to. So that's a good one too, kind of at the beginning of the year to get people talking, or if you need to get announcements out to your class. All right, so those are your different help options. So we've looked so far at deleting classes, adding your classes, and the self-registration, some of the account settings that you may use, and some of your help options. So the next thing that we'll kind of take a look at, we'll just do a really quick refresher of the assignment tool. We did have a full live stream about the assignment tool, so if you're struggling with that, if you're not sure how to assign things, definitely take a look at that. It's on our YouTube channel, same place you found this one. It's a pretty good one, very in-depth, goes through all the steps very slowly and very thoroughly. So to assign a page to a student, you'll use this piece of paper with the star on it. It's going to open up your calendar, which has all of your student activities that you've assigned. You can switch over into that list view, and that list view will let you disable assignments. It'll let you delete assignments. It'll also let you view results from your students, so I can see who's completed it, who hasn't completed it in each of my classes. Now, if I stay on the calendar view, I have that great key. I have the great, kind of display of the different activities that I've assigned. To create a new assignment, you just click on Create a New Assignment. I'm going to choose a different page, and I'm just going to pick an activity from way down here. Again, there's a slower and more thorough version of the assignment tool. There's a whole video of it. So for now, I'm just going to pick a deadline. So that's your second step, is you choose that deadline. And then you go through these options. So you've got submission limit, preventing them from leaving, timer, require 100%. Just some additional options here that you can kind of read through and decide which are best for your students. And then you have the class assignment. So this is where you choose which classes or which students are going to get this assignment. So you can add it to all of your classes at once. You don't have to create the assignment for each class. So you'll do full class, full class, full class, and then I could do just specific students in a class, so if I didn't want to assign it to the whole class. So now I have my assignment. I go ahead and create that assignment. And now I'll be able to see that here, that I assigned it out to all of these different classes. So now I wanted to show you how to edit and set a different due date or a different time range for each class. So I go into the assignment, I click Edit Assignment, and then what I'm going to want to do is actually change this date, the due date, to a date range. So let's say I'm giving a quiz to each of my classes today, and I only want them to see it when they actually are able to work on it. I don't want them to see it before they come to class. I would change this to date range for all of the classes, and then go ahead and hit Save Edit. And then I will go back in and edit the assignment again. So for my first hour class, I would go into this and I would click Edit Class Specific Details. I would select that due date, and this class I'm going to set for 8/28/2018 from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So now these students will be able to see this quiz from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. today. I hit Apply, and then I scroll down to my second hour and I hit Edit Class Specific Details, due date 8/28/2018. Oops, put that in there twice. And this one is going to be from 11 a.m. to noon. So now this class will see this assignment from 11 a.m. until noon today. So that's a really good way to set different time frames for your quizzes, for your exams, is you set it as a date range and you'll go in and just change the times for each class. You can also add additional classes here. So I can assign, if I decided, oh, I missed this class, I can hit full class. I could also go into specific students from here as well. I save that edit, and now it's assigned to those classes, and they are able to complete the activity only during the time that I set for them. All right, so one other thing that is pretty helpful is learning how to hide or show activities. So any activity that you see over here with the apple on the screen, that means that that activity is only visible by the teacher until you assign it to the students. So there's a couple of different ways that you can actually let them see that activity. The first would be to assign it to them through the assignment tool like we just saw. The other way is through our Voces Editor. So to get to the editor, I click on the teacher's panel, and then I click here on the Voces Editor. Now from the Voces Editor, I can hide or unhide any activity, chapter, page, anything that I want. So let's say that I wanted to hide chapter 2 from my students. I click on chapter 2, I click on this button that says Students See, and it puts that apple next to it. So now the students won't see that chapter until I'm ready for them to. Same with chapter 3. I go in, Students See, puts the apple. And I can also do that with just specific activities. So I go into my different activities. I can click on activity 3 for the alphabet. I can click on Students See, which will change it to teacher only. So now they won't see that activity. And then to show them the activity, like I said, I can either do that through the assignment tool, or I can click on something that is teacher only, click the teacher only button, changes it to Students See, hit save, and now they'll be able to see that activity. So those are the two ways to be able to show or hide, to show activities. To hide them, the only way is through the editor, but to show them, you can either do that through the editor or through the assignment tool. So those are some of the basics to really get you, kind of up and running for the school year. I know we've got a few people watching, so if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Let us know if there's anything we can answer or anything that you guys want to see. And definitely feel free also to suggest topics for future live streams. This is the last of this series, but we'll probably be doing some more in the near future. And if you guys have any topics or anything that you want us to go over, please let us know. You can do so just by emailing us, info@vocesdigital.com, or through the website. You can do the contact us page. And again, if you'd like any personal walkthroughs, if you have any questions, any concerns, don't hesitate to use any of the options here in the help section. Give us a call, send us an email, start a chat with us. We'd be more than happy to help. All right, well, if there are no questions or anything that you guys need from us right this second, we're going to go ahead and conclude this live stream. But like I said, any questions that do come up, feel free to contact us offline, and we'd be more than happy to answer those for you. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who joined us. Thank you for spending some time with us this summer. It's been a lot of fun doing these live streams. As I mentioned earlier, you can find all of our live streams from this summer at our YouTube channel. You just YouTube and then search for Voces Digital. Click on the one with the circle. That'll be our channel page, and you can access. We did a Nuestra walkthrough. We did a Spanish walkthrough, a French. We did a walkthrough on the editor and the assignment tool, as well as grading. So there's a lot of really good live streams. We spent a lot of time with you guys this summer, and we were happy to do it. So please let us know if there's anything else we can address for you. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and log off.